After watching a bunch of edits on this particular movie, and Ryan Gosling being literally me, I finally watched the film, Stay. Stay is a 2005 movie, directed by Mark Foster, whose other directions include World War Z, Quantum of Solace, Christopher Robin, Finding Neverland, and A Man Called Otto that was released last year. The cast of Stay include Ryan Gosling as Henry Letham, Ewan McGregor as Dr. Sam Foster, and Naomi Watts as Lila, in the lead roles. And it is written by one of the people who screwed up the ending of Game of Thrones. And this movie has a 26% critics score, and a 70% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, and the synopsis of this movie is as follows. Sam Foster, a psychiatrist, has a new patient, Henry Letham, who claims to be suicidal. In trying to diagnose him, Sam visits Henry's prior therapist, and also finds Henry's mother, even though Henry has said that he murdered both of his parents, as reality starts to contradict fact. Sam spirals into an unstable mental state. Then he finds a clue as to how and when Henry may try to kill himself, and races to try to stop him. Watching this movie initially gave me a lot of Fight Club vibes, and really had me guessing what might be happening next, but the ending was a bit disappointing and satisfying at the same time. I just did not know how to describe the feeling after watching this movie. Most of the part, I was confused, but made sense of it after thinking about it for a while. Basically, the entire movie was just an imagined dream of Henry, in his last dying moments, that was slowed down, for the audience, in order to make us understand what Henry was imagining, very similar to the saying, how our entire life flashes before our eyes, in our final moments of death. And eventually Henry does die. The ending is quite reminiscent to how people wake up to reality, from a dream after killing themselves, just like they did in the movie Inception.
You're trying to save me, you're just too late. 'Cause I gotta wake up.
You can't wake up from within the dream unless you die.
We can also think that Henry was trapped inside an imagined version of Limbo, from Inception, where he finally woke up, and died, after shooting himself in the dream. So this movie just shows the entire life of Henry Letham, and his last final thoughts that were flashing in his mind, and created an entire world out of it, where the psychiatrist is Dr. Sam Foster, because he was the one who was asking Henry to stay with him and not die. Hence the title of this movie being Stay. And another fact about this movie is that the last name of Henry, which is Letham, is actually an anagram for the word Hamlet, the play by William Shakespeare, that was being practiced by Athena, who is Henry's girlfriend and fiancée.
Hamlet hogs all the good lines.
And one of 4 people who were involved in the car crash accident, which includes both of Henry's parents and himself.
You torched your car. Why?
I don't remember, I just woke up and I was in the car and it was on fire.
And there are multiple scenes with purple tint, which are like the past and present sequences of Henry's life, which were being discovered by Sam Foster while investigating and trying to stop Henry from killing himself. And the reason he wants to kill himself is due to the fact that he believes that he is responsible for the death of his parents and Athena, both in reality and in the imagined world. So, while in the real world, Sam Foster is asking him to stay with him, meaning not to die, Henry chose to kill himself, as he thinks he is guilty of the death of his loved ones.
What about your parents?
They're over in Malice Gardens. It's a cemetery in Jersey.
Which is also why he thinks he is going to hell.
Practicing for hell.
Why do you think you're going to hell?
Because of what I did. What I'm gonna do.
And in his final moments, while looking at Lila, he imagines Athena, and asks her to marry him, which obviously indicates that he hasn't asked Athena yet, and she died without knowing that Henry wanted to marry her, which is quite sad. And there are a lot more other details within the movie, like foreshadowing Henry's ability to create new worlds with his imagination.
Henry Letham has a fertile, powerful imagination. If he maintains his concentration, he will create new worlds with his art.
The world is an illusion.
Look around you. If this is a dream, the whole world is inside it.
In the bookstore sequence, where we can see the Brooklyn Bridge painting from Henry's point of view, where we can also see another person wearing Henry's jacket, signifying how the reality and the dream are merging, indicating that Henry is waking up. In this obvious detail, of Henry saying "forgive me."
What did he say?
Forgive me.
Which was written on the walls of Henry's apartment, and the canvas that was found by Lila. And the number 21, on this vehicle, which is of course the reference to Henry's 21st birthday, when he wanted to kill himself in the dream.
It's my 21st birthday.
Just like Tristan Revor, who is also part of the illusion, and is a fake French artist created by Henry, as the name, Rêveur, means dreamer, in French, and the dreamer, being Henry. And this quote said by Henry to Sam, has a lot more deeper meaning than I thought.
Bad art is more tragically beautiful than good art because it documents human failure.
The same way, the art, that doesn't exist, is the most beautiful art in the world. Because, in our minds, things can be perfect, just like the dream or illusion Henry created in his mind. But when we want to transfer the same things that are perfect in our minds to the real world, the perfection is lost in reality, that was present in our imagination. So, this is probably why Tristan destroyed all of his works, due to the fact that he considered the failed attempt to replicate his imagination as bad art, and didn't want to document human failure anymore, and committed an elegant suicide as his final work of art. Let that sink in for a moment. And the real question is that, how was Henry aware and known of all the people that surrounded him, before he was even awake, while still dreaming, where he incorporated the same people in his imagined world prior to waking up? Some people say that, it was Henry's soul that left him, while he was subconscious due to the accident, and captured the image of all these people that were looking at him, and used them as projections of his subconscious. I also like to think that the base of this movie's plot was actually subconscious manifestation done by Henry, where his subconscious mind is so immensely powerful, it was able to visualize everything in the imagined world, and made predictions on the future, with regard to the people that will surround him after waking up. So, that might be how Henry was aware of everyone in his dream, before Sam brought him to consciousness. And in this scene, when Henry talks to Sam about Tristan Rêveur, we can see people wearing the same clothes, and looking a bit identical. This might be done by Henry while dreaming, as he might have ran out of people he could imagine as his projections. Overall, this movie is one of the most dark, somber, and complex movies, with some amazing transitions, that ended with a lot of unanswered questions, like, does Sam actually remember all the experiences in Henry's world? And I really didn't understand why Henry wasn't taken to a hospital in someone's car, rather than waiting for an ambulance. I think that Stay tried to pull off an audience interpretation type of ending, like American Psycho or Inception, but it may have slightly failed to do so, as there are so many questions in the plot. It's hard to interpret anything, with what might have happened, and how things are connected to one another. This movie either has to be a highly complex masterpiece, or just another mid-movie, which is totally worth a watch. Thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And what are some other movies you found to be interesting, and please recommend some, as I have a pretty hard time finding one.